All right, guys, welcome to video number three. Three. Today, we're going to be talking about maintaining the ketogenic diet. And in previous videos, I talked about whether or not the ketogenic diet was healthy for you or not. I've talked about adapting into ketosis quickly in the last video, and today we're going to be talking about doing the day in and day out of maintaining the ketogenic diet. Now, this is important because the longer that you are fat adapted, the more you'll be able to get the benefits of being fat adapted. Now, that's lasting energy, increased brain clarity, increased fat burning, and also the ability to reintegrate carbohydrates into your diet from time to time so that you can enjoy yourself. Now, here's the thing. One of the biggest problems with the ketogenic diet, or the way that the ketogenic diet is thought of, is that it's a very, very hard or difficult diet to do. And I actually haven't found that to be the case. I've actually found this to be a lot easier to do than my old bodybuilding diet, where I was eating a lot of dry chicken and dry fish and broccoli and the occasional cup of white rice. But this diet I find very enjoyable because I like a lot of the food. I really like eggs. I really like bacon. I really like butter. I really like steak. And I really haven't had a problem with feeling like I was denying myself anything on this diet. Of course, you've got to avoid sweets. You've got to avoid sugar. You're not going to be able to have dessert every day. But there's this fascinating thing about the world we live in today, and that's the internet. There are some amazing ketogenic recipes out there on the internet. And you can find recipes for things like keto ice cream. I've even found recipes for keto cannoli, and I've actually put those out to a bunch of my followers. It's absolutely delicious. I'm Italian. I love cannoli. You can find recipes for keto bread, right? You can make bread out of Parmesan cheese and some almond flour. You can find a ketogenic recipe for almost any comfort food that you're craving. It just takes looking it up on the internet, and most of these recipes actually take under 30 minutes to prepare. So don't worry about being denied food. You're going to be able to find a lot of awesome food out there that's very keto friendly. The other thing about maintaining the ketogenic diet for a long period of time, as I said, is that in certain periods, you're actually going to be able to reintegrate carbohydrates. In fact, if you read Jeff Volek and Stephen Finney's book, The Art and Science of Low Carbohydrate Performance, which is like the seminal book that talks about the ketogenic diet in sports. They also have another book called The Art and Science of Low Carbohydrate Living. They say that athletes who've done a good amount of physical activity in a 24-hour period can actually eat up to 150 grams of carbohydrate per day while maintaining ketosis. And so if you're doing a lot of activity, if you are out there, for example, I roll jiu-jitsu, I lift weights, I go for a run. If I'm having a day where I've done all three, I'll probably have a cup of white rice later in the day at night after I've come back from jiu-jitsu practice and I'm good and depleted, because that's going to do my body some good in replenishing my glycogen stores, while also allowing me to stay in ketosis, because I'm actually just refilling my glycogen. That glucose heads straight into the muscle, and it helps me to maintain a state of ketosis. So you can actually eat carbohydrates if you've done a good amount of activity in a given day. The key is to understand how much activity it takes to do this. The other thing you have to understand is that the ketogenic diet that a lot of people talk about is a very strict and archaic form of the ketogenic diet that certain people can benefit from. So for example, people who suffer from epilepsy, they're the ones who are going to want to be on a very strict 80% fat, 10% protein, 10% carbohydrates ketogenic diet. Same thing for people who are suffering from cancer. If you're looking for some of the cancer battling effects of the ketogenic diet, you want to go on a very strict 80-10-10 keto ratio. But for those of us who are just doing this for aesthetic purposes, to better our health, to reduce the amount of insulin we're taking in, you can actually get by on a 60% fat, 30% protein, and 10% carbohydrate ketogenic diet. And that means you can up the amount of protein you're taking in, so you can get some more steaks in if you really want to, and you can still get all the benefits of doing a ketogenic diet. And one more really, really awesome thing, and I talked about this at the beginning, but when you are fat adapted for a long period of time, right? So I've been fat adapted for about 6 years now. I can actually get in and out of ketosis very, very easily. So that means that, say I really want to have a cheat day, or say I'm heading to Disneyland with my family, or let's say it's Christmas and I want to have a really, really high carbohydrate day, I can do so and adapt back into ketosis fairly easily. The way I do that is through fasting. Say I have a big meal that day, or I know I'm heading to an amusement park the next day or something like that. I'll fast the day before, or on Thanksgiving, say I'll fast all day long up until dinner, and then I'll just eat what I want at dinner. And I use that method a lot when I'm going through times when there's a lot of special occasions like the holidays. Intermittent fasting is another way to leverage ketosis, and we talk about that in our advanced keto course. There's more than one way to get into ketosis. You don't just have to adapt with a very strict ketogenic diet. You can also do it through fasting. In fact, the ketosis is actually a way, a trait that we evolved to be able to adapt and to take on, so that we could move long distances back when we were cavemen, and when food became scarce, we'd have to move everybody long distances. And if we were only able to survive on glucose, then we all would have died out when food was scarce. So this is a really, really natural part of our evolutionary biology that we can all take advantage of. So those are some really easy tips about maintaining ketosis. Definitely, if you're interested in learning so much more about this, check out the advanced course below. And here's the thing, I am going to put a goal setting guide right below, so you can download our Fitness is Freedom goal setting guide. This is going to help you to put together your goals for the next year. Tomorrow, in tomorrow's video, I am going to put a download for our 30 recipe cookbook. So don't miss the next video. Don't miss the next email. You're going to get that 30 recipe cookbook tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. I will see you guys tomorrow, and we'll be talking about more awesome things related to the ketogenic diet.